Hello, people of grace. This Sunday, we begin a new sermon series called Your Soul and the Story. And as part of that message this Sunday, we're going to be looking at an excerpt from Ecclesiastes chapter 7. But for today, I just want to look at one verse, Ecclesiastes 7, verse 29, where the writer says, "See this alone I found, that God made man upright, but they have sought out many schemes." So let's talk for a moment about our schemes, me and my schemes. What is a scheme? And how does that contrast with being upright? Now, God made us upright, but we have chased many schemes. Well, the idea of schemes can mean like warlike engines, or just arts and inventions and clever devices in general, or just our inner reasonings, our awareness, our conscience. But it has really kind of a negative association in the Bible. And I think that this idea of schemes or warlike engines or arts or devices, really does tie into our desire to know for ourselves. So if we're honest, if we can just be humble and transparent and honest right now, we like to think that our rational arguments are unconquerable. They're our warlike engines. We're so obviously right. We like to think that we can create something new. And the problem with that when it comes to the deepest levels of our soul is, going all the way back to the Garden of Eden, is it kind of launches us off on our own trajectory where we can't just be satisfied in God's presence. We've got to somehow try to go beyond the incredible gift of just being made in God's image and prove, in comparison maybe to others, that we're special. And that's a trap. It really ensnares us so that we spend way too much time and energy caught up in our own thoughts and thinking. We overanalyze things. We trouble ourselves far too much with trying to establish our own value or worth. And all of that creates a stronghold, because Paul uses the same idea of schemes in 2 Corinthians 10, creates a stronghold of thinking that stops us from more fully and deeply just experiencing God in the core of our being and really in the beauty of His being. We get trapped in what I call the fortress of our own reasonings. We think it's keeping dangerous stuff out. Actually, it's trapping us in the fortress of our own minds. We're kind of a wreck. We're way too caught up in our thinking and our schemes. And eventually it becomes very insidious, where Paul, again, in Romans 2, takes the same idea and says we end up bouncing back and forth between trashing and accusing ourselves and then excusing and justifying ourselves. And the more we're caught up in it, the more it gains energy, and the more it keeps us from that simple, true, grace-based experience of God in our innermost being. So let's try to lay down those schemes and really celebrate our soul and how God has woven our souls into His story, which is ultimately the story of Jesus. And it's a beautiful story. It creates an ending for us that goes far beyond we could ask or imagine in wonderful ways. And that's an encouraging thought. Have a blessed evening.